Here we go. Ah, good afternoon and happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I'm Meals. This is Meals Conquers Everything. Today, as you can see, we're going to do some brewing, and I wrote it down this time. Pyment. Grape mead. Pyment. It's still basically wine, it's still basically mead, which are both the same thing, just you use different kind of sugar to make it. But got everything sanitized and ready to go. I use my Star San like usual. I'm not putting any fruit in it this time like I did with the apple cider last week. It's just going to be grape juice. Same thing as the week before. The ingredients are apple juice from concentrate, water, and citric acid, or absorbic acid. I don't have my readers on them, sorry. That's just vitamin C, that's fine. You just don't want any preservatives in there. Preservatives will keep the yeast from doing their job. So, adjust my hood because that's bugging me. My OCD has been bad the last couple days. I don't know why. It's probably because I didn't get a whole lot of sleep the other day, but today went pretty good. I got home from work, I was nice and tired, had a little breakfast, and we were on our way. So, I've got 5 pounds of honey again. Only this time I was able to get it in one container. So that made it a little easier. We don't want to put that just yet. We want to. My scale is so nice. It says hello every time I turn it on. Okay, we've got it set for ounces. Yeah, let's just do ounces. No, let's do pounds. Let's move her over milliliters. Pounds. So we're going to put my jar on there, which, if you're wondering, the jar weighs 2.193 pounds. We're going to tear that out so I can put the honey in. And I just realized I forgot to put the honey in some warm water to thin it out a little bit. Normally you take the bottle of honey, you let it sit in some hot water. Not just warm water. Warm water won't do much good. But normally you would take the honey and you let it sit in some hot water that thins the honey out. You don't want to boil it in the water. Like I said before, if the honey starts to crystallize or recrystallize, changes the formula of the honey, changes the flavor. So you don't want to do that. But we're going to pour it in here. We're going to have 2 jars of this, or I should say 2 gallons of this today. So it's not going to be too bad trying to get the remainder out. Getting close to the 1 pound mark. We're gonna split this in half between the 2 gallons. 2.5 in one, 2.5 in the other. Coming up on 1.5. These scales make things so much nicer. I can't imagine. You slow it down because we are over 2 pounds now. I don't want to go too much over and I don't want to be too much under because I want to be able to have about the same amount in both. Here. Stop. Stop. And we're good. So I did that almost perfectly. We are at 2.505 pounds of honey in there. So we should have slightly less than 2.5 pounds for the other one. But it's going to be so close, it's not going to matter because you still got sugars in the grape juice. Put this off to the side for now because I don't need that until I do the next one. And they didn't have actual gallons. This is Kroger brand again. These are half gallons. Contents are apparently a little under pressure. So we're going to pour this in there. I'm just going to go ahead and pour this whole one in before we shake it up. And I actually have a hydrometer this time that is meant for wine and mead and beer making. Unlike the last time where I thought I had one and it was actually meant for if I had distilled the thing. So, we are going to get this shook up. And while we get this shook up, I just realized I forgot to put the phone on airplane mode before we recorded. So hang on one sec. And we're back. With my luck, someone would have tried calling, or I would have gotten a notification or something like that during the thing, because these have been going a little bit longer than I thought they would lately. This one shouldn't go too long, though. We don't have anything to cut up. Shit. You've got to be careful not to accidentally unscrew the top while you're shaking it. Messes can easily be made. And now it's a little on the wet side, so I need to dry stuff off. I already had to change my sweatshirt once. Oh, I got grape juice everywhere. I already had to change my sweatshirt once in the last couple hours because I took the leftover pack of hot dogs that I didn't use from the pickled sausage video, because I finally got a thing of actual mason jars. And I went and put those with some boiled eggs to pickle those earlier. And I spilled pickling juice all down the front of me. And somehow I didn't notice it for probably a good 20 minutes, half hour, until I was sitting down, chilling, watching some TV. And I looked down and I've got Frank's Red Hot Infused pickling juice all over the front of my sweatshirt. Now, this is the first time I've done grape juice. I've done regular mead in the past. I've done apple ciders in the past. You can see through those. You can see what's going on in there. This, obviously, you can't see me. So, once you get this all good and mixed up, you kind of got to go off of A, what's coming out of the fermenter, is it bubbling and whatnot, and B, whenever you go to take a reading. And I am really fighting myself to not take a reading on the apple ciders that I did, on the 2 gallons of apple cider that I did last week. Because it's not fermenting like crazy like it was, but it's still going pretty good. And I was getting worried middle of the week that it might burn through all that sugar and at the very least need racked, and possibly some more honey added to it this weekend. But I'm going to let it go for another weekend still before I rack it. Now, I won't be able to have an accurate, and I say accurate with air quotes, because even using the hydrometer, even if I do it properly, there's still like a plus or minus of a couple 3% ABV, alcohol by volume. So I'm just going to go off of those. I'm not going to say what an exact is as far as the percentage of alcohol. I know it's going to be between 12 and 15% ish. So it could be 10, It could be 18. So I'm not worried about the alcohol by volume so much with the sizers. Now with this, since I actually have the hydrometer and will be able to use it properly, the deviation of error on it is just going to be your usual normal 1% or 2 from whatever you come out with. And there's a formula you use. Like on the hydrometer, if it's completely and totally neutral with sugar, it's going to read like it's just sitting in water, 1.0. It goes up with the addition of sugar in the fluid. So say it measures out at 1.075 when we're done getting this all mixed up today. And by the time I'm done with it, it gets back down to 1.0. That's a difference of 0.075. And I believe the formula is multiply that by 135, and that would give you your percentage. I would have to check on that. There's a scale that came with the hydrometer that doesn't look the same as what I had learned in the past. So I'm not sure what's totally correct on that. But watching the site that I learned most of this stuff through, City Steady Brewing, I'm pretty sure that's the formula he uses. The difference between the beginning gravity and the end gravity, and multiply that by 135, I think. Trying to see, my arms honestly just need a rest right now. Just trying to make sure. Doesn't look like we've got any lingering honey still sitting around. All that foam, just oxygen. Nothing wrong with getting oxygen into the formula right now. Oi! Let that settle a little bit while we're trying to figure it out. All right. Open this back up. We're also going to have a special little thing at the end after I get these 2 gallons done today. I'm going to do just a regular cider with what's left from my apple juice last week and grape juice this week. Kind of waiting for that foam to go down. And I didn't think to sterilize me any kind of a stirring stick to maybe help with that. So we're going to have to just be a little bit patient here. And while we're waiting on this to be patient, I think what we should probably do, or at least the responsible thing to do, would be to go ahead and start getting the honey into the 2nd gallon of this batch. And like I said, I know exactly how much I started out with. I put what I needed in the first one, so I don't need to measure this one. But I will have to put some grape juice in the honey bottle to get all of the honey out, so that I do have the 2.5 pounds of honey in this particular gallon. Now, I've been torn on what one to do next week. I didn't know if I wanted to do pineapple or cranberry, maybe some more apple, maybe some more grape. I kind of want to do different ones these first 3 or 4 weekends. And then once they come out and they're finished, I'll know what ones I like and what ones to make more of and what ones to either not make ever again or just make sparingly. And right now, I'm leaning toward cranberry because I hear cranberry juice makes a really good mead. And I don't know if you guys saw the last video or not. The reason I like using the honey to sweeten it is the honey is Mother Nature's sugar. It's not processed. It's way healthier for you than any kind of processed sugar. And it's got a great flavor to it. Especially if you're using it for this kind of stuff. So I plan on just making mostly meads. I would love to play with, when I start stilling anyway, because I don't think I would leave it as just a wine. I would love to play with the idea of getting some agave syrup and making a tequila. But of course, like I said, that would require a still, and technically it would require a license, which, as I mentioned last week, in the state of Ohio, you can get a license from the Department of Liquor Control, and it's not very expensive at all. I'd have to look to see what the exact price is right now, but they've got multiple different levels, and this is just for people that don't have an establishment, i.e. bar, that they plan on selling it out of. They want to like make it at home and sell it to liquor stores that actually sell liquor, or they just want to use it for home use. Anyone that's making less than like 500 barrels, your license literally be, it could be less than $100, or even just in the couple $100 range. So this is a very, very inexpensive hobby. And it can be very enjoyable once you're done making this stuff. This honey is taking forever to come out, and I'm running out of stuff to talk to you guys about. So we're going to try and move this along just a little bit. Let's get, my arms are going to get a workout today while we're talking, because I got to shake this bottle up to get the rest of the honey out, and I'm going to have to shake the jar up. And the only reason I want to shake the jar up is that's the wrong lid. I could just leave the honey sitting there like that, but it will take, it'll tax your yeast a little bit, and it'll take just a little bit longer to get your batch fermented. Because I actually did watch the City Sitting Brews episode, where they just put the honey in the bottom, and they put whatever, I think they were making a port, which is a fortified version of what I'm doing here if I wanted to add some brandy to it at the end, which I don't know if I'm interested in doing that. We'll see as we go along. I'm probably going to run out of ideas of stuff to talk to you guys about while I'm talking to you guys about this stuff, I should say. But it worked. I mean, they said it didn't work as fast, but it worked, and they even actually had to add more to it through the course of everything, because they started out on the light side. Like, they didn't do 2.5 pounds. I think they started off with a pound. And when the yeast worked through that pound, they put another pound in. And when the yeast worked through that pound, I think they put another pound in. But you could do that. Do the Ron Popeil method of just set it and forget it. Extra foamy. Now I'm just going to use some more grape juice to try and get some of that foam out of there, because I'm sure there's just a tad bit more honey in there we can use. Whoa. There. Let's Steph's bubbling it up. Don't want to shake this up. I just want to get the foam out of there. It doesn't. It actually looks like I did a good job of getting all the honey out of there. Just let that dribble for another minute or two. I thought this one was going to be a little less complicated than the apple because I'm not chopping anything up to put in it, but like Mike Tyson once said, everybody's always got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, you got to learn how to roll with the punches. Get the rest of that out of there. Okay. Should be done with that. Again, very key. Have a trash container next to you while you do this stuff so you're not just throwing stuff on the floor. Before I get that on there really tight, I should maybe put just a little bit more grape juice in there. It might be helpful as far as getting this squared away. Yeah, that's going to go on there. Go. Get on there nice and tight. Anyway, getting back to what I'm going to do next week. Like I said, I'm leaning toward the cranberry juice. Doing a cranberry juice mead. If you guys think I should do the pineapple, say something in the comments. Let me know what you guys think, or if you guys have a different idea, let me hear it. I got no problem with that. I try to check out the comments. I haven't had a lot of comments in those longer videos because I know they're longer, and I know some people don't have that kind of attention span. My best friend's been giving me shit about it, but you know what? If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And if the videos take a little bit longer to do that, then fine. That, and I don't have editing equipment yet. So, since I am just starting out, you guys are going to have to deal with my growing pains just like I do. It'll get better. But we all got to crawl before we can walk. And I don't know if I mentioned or not, the honey was also just Kroger brand, I think it was Clover honey. Threw the bottle away already, but yeah. Just Kroger brand. You don't have to get the expensive stuff for this kind of hobby. I mean, it's okay to spend an extra $1 or $2 on certain things, like making sure you got glass jars, because I don't know if the plastic ones, like I accidentally got a plastic one last week. I don't know if plastic would impart any kind of a yucky flavor into what you're trying to do or not. So I like to try to keep these to glass jars. The fermenters, the airlocks, get those. I watched one this morning where, I mean, the dude was just throwing together something out of a thing of apple juice trying to make some cider. He just threw a balloon on the top. If you're going to go through the hassle of doing it in a separate jar, or even if you're going to put it in a carboy, which I don't like using the carboys, like I said before, because they're a pain in the butt to try to get stuff into if you're putting fruit into it, or clean out if you're just trying to clean the dang thing out. Don't just put a balloon on there. Get an airlock. It keeps the stuff that's not supposed to be in there out, and it lets the stuff out that ain't supposed to stay in there. And of course, you can't just put a lid like this on it, because then you will have just made a bomb. And it may or may not be a dangerous bomb, but at some point it'll overpressurize and it'll blow. And at the very least, it's going to make a mess. It's going to have you dog cussing while you're trying to clean it up. Because physics. A vessel cannot contain more than it is supposed to contain. That's how that works. Uh-oh. I put that on too tight. Come on. Oh, good Lord. There we go. All right. That is extra juicy. And I can't believe the foam still hasn't come down on this because I'm kind of afraid to put more in there. Just because you don't want to fill it up all the way to the top, because then your airlock is going to get clogged up with all the nasty stuff, and then your brew is going to go bad. So you do want to leave a little bit of headspace. Not a lot, but you do want to leave a little bit of headspace. Just trying to figure out how much I want to leave, because this foam will eventually obviously go down. See if those are about even. Need a little bit more in this one. There we go. That got on the outside somehow. So now what we are going to do is we are going to take, got water in it. I have this sanitized as well. We're going to take a gravity reading. There's a reason I waited until after I got the honey and whatnot dissolved in it, rather than take one with the juice, then take one with the honey. I know that you add a specific amount of honey, it should add a specific amount of gravity. But I'm not that advanced yet to see if all of that stuff is right, like it's supposed to be. Let's put you there. Now, theoretically, these should both be the same. So I'm honestly debating on whether or not I need to take one from both. But we could do ourselves a little experiment. And see if it works like that. Hopefully that doesn't fall. Let's move you off to the side here a little bit. Now my hydrometer. Oh, there is a lot of bubbles in there. Let's see here. I really should have got my readers. Oh, got my readers. Or one, I've got them strategically placed all throughout the house, and a set in my truck, just in case. Well, these need cleaned a little bit, but I can see. All right. All right, just making sure I know how to read that. I don't want to make any kind of a mess there. It said to spin it. Let's see where we're at. Currently, 4. With all the bubbles there, appears to be at about 1.5 is where that would be. Yep. 1.5 is where it seems to be floating. Forgot to write that down, so I'm gonna have to, or bring something to write that down with, so I'm gonna have to remember to write that down. And since this stuff is all sanitized, we'll just pour that right back in there. Waste not, want not. All right. And I'm just gonna, this time around anyway, I'm just gonna say they're both the same. Just for the sake of the thing, it's not gonna hurt us that much. I'll be a little bit more prepared next time, and like I said, we're all still learning. Anyway, oh, Master Chief was falling and I didn't even know. Okay. Let's put you up here. Forgot the measuring spoons for the yeast nutrient and the pectic enzyme. So I will be right back. We are back. Now, let's see here. First things first, I need to adjust the carpet that my spinners are on. There we go. Oh well, I'll just deal with it. Gonna put our yeast in. Same as last week, just plain old Red Star. You don't have to use a full packet. Each one of these packets are supposedly supposed to be good for up to 5 gallons. But just going ahead and using the whole packet for a smaller batch does help get things moving along for you. And we're going to thwack our packet. Boom. Then this one. Thwack the packet. Okay. Now, let's do the nutrient first. The yeast nutrient is, like I said last time, is just food for the yeast. Of course, the writing is too small, and I want to ensure that I've got the right thing in there. I want to say it's a tablespoon for a gallon. 1 tablespoon per gallon. The pectic enzyme is a half tablespoon per gallon. On the lenses. So we're going to take the tablespoon. This is the nutrient. You know what? Let's just use the half one because I can actually fit the half one in there, I think. Nope, no, I can't. Let's use the tablespoon. Oh, 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 oh. Yes, I make lots of noises. Now I want to use a heaping teaspoon because I'd rather my yeast not run out of food. Or I should say nutrient, not food, because the sugar is the real food for them. Because if they run out of nutrient and food, they're not going to make the alcohol for you. And that's what we really want. We want the alcohol. We are done with that for now. The pectin. Now I used, all this does is it helps clear everything better for you. I used the quarter for that last week. There's a different reason last week for it than what I'm doing this week for it, but it fits in there better. And you guys don't have to use this stuff. You don't have to use these nutrient at all. But I have found with the couple of batches that I've made in the past that either the nutrient or raisins, which have good nutrient in there for the yeast, if you have those in the brew, it does help. So we are ready to put our airlocks on, and then we are going to give these a little swirl so we can get all that stuff down into the mixture so it can start doing its job. And I can't see shit in there, but I think we're good to go with that one. Let's move you over here now so we can put you over here. And then this could take 12 to 48 hours. I'm sorry, 12 to 48 hours before they actually start doing their thing. So if you guys are at home and you're doing this and you come back a day later and it's not bubbling, don't panic yet. Do not panic, because it does take sometimes a minute for the yeast to wake up. Because that's what you're doing. You're putting dormant yeast in there. They got to wake up. And they don't just start working right away. Like the second you walk in the door at work, you start working? No. You get situated. Then you start working. So we've got those all set. Bring you out of there. And we're going to be good to go with those for right now. And now we are going to, there is a lot more grape juice left over than I thought there would be. Huh. You'll have that. So now on to just making some grape juice. Hard cider, or not grape juice hard cider, but grape apple hard cider. And I'm going to do my best to split this half and half, because I do have more than a half gallon of apple juice left over as well. We're going to try and get this, because all you got to do with this stuff is there are sugars in the juice already. There are sugars in the juice already, so you don't have to actually add sugar. Me adding the honey to these takes it from being a hard cider to being a type of wine, mead, or Pyment Sizer. I don't know why they've got different names for them, but they do. They are types of Melamonts, or at least the Sizers, because I've got actual fruit in there. So why there's all kinds of different names for them just because of what you put in them, I have no idea. It should just be wine if you're brewing it, liquor if you still it, and a beer or a brew if you don't add any extra sugar to it. And I'm only doing this one because I want to see how it turns out. And on the carnivore diet, I can't drink any of this stuff anyway unless it's a cheat day. And I already had a cheat day and I didn't drink any of it. Because yesterday was my cheat day. And I celebrated St. Patty's yesterday and had a couple beers. I had more than a couple beers, but we'll just leave it at that. It wasn't horrible or anything like that, but I did have more than a couple beers. I had a hard cider, which was one of the cider geists new. Or that's not the one I want. Rheingeist had a new cider geist out. They sweetened it with honey. So what they did was after they brewed it, they added honey to it, which may or may not have been too carbonated. I'm sure they add their own carbonation to it. They probably didn't add the honey to it to carbonate it. They probably just added the honey to it for flavor. But they didn't add it during the brewing process, so it would still just be a hard cider and not a mead or a wine. I've got airlock for that. Now, if you guys want a hard cider, if you want to try this out just to see how it works, and you want it really easy, this is what you do. You get grape juice or apple juice. I'm told orange juice doesn't work well, or citrus juices don't work well for fermentation. I have to look more into that because I would love to make an orange one without just actually basically pouring orange juice in the thing and doing it, but I've heard it doesn't work very well. I have to look into why. But I would take grape or apple, whichever you like better. Cranberry, I am told, works well as also. So we're going to find that one out next week. Put the stuff in there. Put some yeast in it. I don't think I'm even going to put the, well, yeah, I'm going to put the yeast nutrient in it. I'm going to put some yeast nutrient in it. I'm not going to put any of the pectin stuff in it, but we're going to put the yeast nutrient in it. Because if I had raisins, I would put raisins in it. Especially if it were apple. But it'll feed off the sugars that are already in the juice. And in a week or two, hard cider. So that was a lot less frothy. So that's going to be easier to see what's going on. But yeah, that's how quick and easy that one is. So we're all set now. I don't have any other extra projects for this week, so keep watching my shorts. Make sure you like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that at the end of my stuff because I need that feedback. Just because it's nice. It's nice to know how I'm doing. I don't care if it's good feedback or bad feedback, but if you like what you're seeing, subscribe. Hit the bell, it'll let you know whenever I upload stuff. I do mostly shorts. They're funny. I try to amuse you. So, peace out, guys. We'll see you next week.